responding to me. So,
That's what they do.
Well, because I asked him like where does it say that Mary is sinless, and then it's just like Mary's blessed and God is with you, and I'm like, how does that say she's sinless? They're like,
exactly.
Well, how else would you say it? I'm like, so what about Abraham? Because God was with Abraham. Abraham was very blessed. He was the the most blessed out of all men.
Aside from John the Baptist, it says that in either John or Matthew, one of the Gospels, it says that John the Baptist was the greatest man who has ever lived.
Okay.
But still, it doesn't say that he was sinless either.
Right. Well, we know he wasn't sinless because he had a kid with Hagar, which
was a
God
sin.
intended.
Yeah.
And going against God's wishes of like, hey, I will make nations out of you. Just wait.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
Yeah, after I asked that, he stopped talking to me.
They usually do. Because in order to believe that Mary was sinless, you have to believe that Jesus was a liar. There's just no in between, because Mark 10:18, Jesus said there is no one good but God alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That means that not only is Mary not good, but she's definitely not sinless.
There's even a verse where she calls up for her savior or something. So it's like
exactly
she needs.
Yeah, I think that's Luke 1:47.
Yeah. That was another question I asked him too. If Mary was sinless, why would she need a savior?
Exactly. That's the whole thing that they just can't wrestle with, where they're thinking like, oh no, that's different. It's like, it's not different. That's the entire purpose of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Weird how these things work.
Oh, I know.
Oh, I actually, for the first time, I saw somebody stitch your video trying to argue you.
Oh, good. Who was it?
Oh, I have no idea. I just kind of like, he was trying to disprove like Calvinism, kind of a thing.
Interesting. If ever you get those, send them to me, because I would love to see if they're actually worth watching or not. Because like I have like Dan McClellan, he's made several responses to me. There's a bunch of Mormons and like a couple Catholic dudes who make video. I don't watch any of them because they're all nonsense. Yeah, he came with the good shirt.
I'm representing.
Yeah.
I wore mine on Sunday.
Well, it's not Sunday, Natasha.
Huh?
It's not Sunday, Natasha. Today is the day.
Well, I was wearing it out with everybody who needs to know.
That's fair. That's what they're for.
Like, y'all already know.
I did not think about it before I filled up my coffee, because I walked in like 3 minutes ago from the grocery store. So I will try to be nice.
Oh, that's awesome. I like it.
Considering it's being recorded. So
yes, I appreciate that.
But, it might be a good thing, to let other people know that Christians can be human.
Yep. And have awesome coffee mugs.
Yo. How is everybody? How are you, Natasha?
How are you, Justin? How about you?
Good. I'm doing good.
Holding on.
Sorry if I like move around a lot. I do this in my bedroom, and like no good spot to set my phone, so it's like a makeshift.
That's totally okay. That's why I do it at my office, because it's empty and perfect little desk. Wall is a background. Simple.
So, is this your business?
Yes, sir.
You and your friend are. What's the name of it?
I won't disclose that publicly.
Oh, okay.
Just because the quantity of people that hate me and have death threats and everything like that, don't want them to know the name of my business.
I got you. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm an injury massage therapist, and then I'm partnered with a chiropractor. So like behind me, this quote on the wall is, says the power that made the body heals the body. And that is a quote from B.J. Palmer, who is like one of the founders of chiropractic.
I got you. Time back, you had said anybody that has a issue, we can reach out to you.
Yeah.
concerning something. I'm gonna need to send you a message.
Deal.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you have any kind of weird questions like that, chances are I can answer it. However, I can't give you a definitive because, like, if I can palpate what's going on with an injury, I can basically tell you exactly what it is. I can't do that with a guarantee whenever I can't actually put hands on you and figure out what's going on.
You need to come and put hands on me.
I don't travel that far for this.
I have
I
not.
used to do massage therapy. I went to school for it.
Oh yeah?
hmm I
How long?
ended up stopping it very soon into it because I got a lot of not so great requests.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah. And I was 19, so I'm like, I'd just rather not.
Yeah, no, that's super duper creepy. I have fortunately only gotten like 2 of those and haven't seen those people in years.
That's good.
Yeah, but mine's also like injury clinic, it's not a spa or anything like that. So, like, I do not do any Swedish massage stuff. I exclusively do like very intense, very specific trigger point work. So people don't really ask for that with me, which is good. Hi, Amber.
I always tell people that like are curious about it. I'm like, always get a glute massage because it is the largest muscle in your body and it is literally like the most forgotten about muscle. And they're amazing.
Yeah. I mean, you need them. Like right now, my hips are killing me. I need to have a dude put his elbow in my butt. It's going to be magic.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. I love glute massage. It's so amazing.
They're important. Like everyone who has sciatic pain and stuff like that, it's necessary. And a bunch of like the big chains like Massage Envy and stuff like that, they recently, I'm not sure if they actually went through with this, but I heard that they were making those like no longer allowed just because of the quantity of claims of like sexual assault and stuff like that. Like, like there were a lot of creepers that Massage Envy hired, so that there's a lot of validity to it. But at the same time, there's also like a lot of not true trying to sue the business and destroying someone's life type of accusations while they were digging into your glutes. So
right.
That's hard to say.
I mean, I found this out while I was doing massage therapy. Like apparently, for your insurance, some insurances will cover with the sheet being uncovered and some of it won't for glute massage, which I find super strange.
That is super strange. Fortunately, that's because I'm a dude. I only do that with a sheet over. I never undrape glutes. Just, I do not take the risk of someone claiming I did something because gross.
Oh, that's
We're told just to keep the gluteal cleft covered.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna keep it all covered. I don't want any of it.
Keeping that covered helps the smell, just so you know.
Yeah, you magically smell. Yeah, it's amazing how many people don't shower.
The first time I encountered that, I about like, and then somebody told me it's just like just keep that covered and you should be okay. I'm like,
even then, there's some people that just.
Oh, for real.
There's some really non-hygienic people. This is good for Bible study.
Hey, Jesus had a butt, you know.
That is true, yeah.
He had to wipe his butt.
Yeah. Hey, you know, a joker among some of us Christian fellows is, you know, the disciples were just a bunch of roughneck guys. You ever think that they sat around the campfire pulling each other's finger?
Probably not that, because that joke seems more recent, but they probably did something like that.
Yeah. Oh, God. And, you know, Jesus goes, that's right. You know. Okay. Hi, Amber. We haven't met yet. I'm Brad.
Hi. I actually saw you the first one. I was here, but the second one, I wasn't able to make it.
I remember now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for reminding me.
I saw one other person was on here and then she disappeared again. So don't know if she's returning or if she's just spectating.
Or you just not know everything?
I don't know everything. I try to, but I fail. Yeah, not spectating. It's just us right now.
By the way, Melchizedek was awesome.
Thank you.
It was awesome. And I do think that you looked at my term paper because it was pretty much in line with the way you did it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I'm still looking for it so I can send you a copy, but I've changed MacBooks and iPad since then, so I don't know, and I never save anything to the cloud. I like to be
okay.
done. So
That's fair.
We'll see.
Do you think like Jesus could still come and do theophanies, or do you think it's like unlikely these days?
I don't think so, because I think the next time he comes is the second coming. So I don't think that Jesus would be returning or manifesting now. Because I don't know the specific verse off the top of my head, but there is a verse that kind of expressed like once he incarnated, that was like the body. But then there's a lot of different theories that go with all of this, with like the transfiguration. So whenever they're seeing Jesus talking to Moses and Elijah on the mount, the whole theory behind that is like that was the moment that Jesus literally defied time. And at that moment is kind of when he appeared to every single one of those people across time. So it's tricky, but that would explain like the apparent contradiction in Exodus 33 that says no one can see God and live. And then you see several cases where people do see God and live. So that would make sense for it. That would explain it.
If you saw
and
Jesus.
Then, yeah, just because they're seeing Jesus in a glorified form while they're also seeing people who had been dead for a very long time. And we know because of every other part of the Bible that whenever someone dies, they have no connection to the earth. So those people, they were not ghosts or anything. We literally saw them in their time in the more present time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Question
Super weird.
with that
Yes.
may like push against. But when Saul was king, he got Samuel and he came to earth.
Yes.
And could that not be anything similar to that though?
It could, but it doesn't describe him as being in any kind of glorified body or anything like that. But instead, you just have Samuel come back and immediately ridicule him, saying, like, why would you do something so gross? So, like, if we turn to that, that's 2 Samuel 2, 2 Samuel 28. But immediately, he's asking him why he did the thing and ridiculing him for doing so. But I think that is the exception, not the rule, because there's no other point in the Bible that you see that, but you see in like Ecclesiastes 9 that says that when the dead die, they are gone, they know nothing, all of their plans have ended.
Well, I know, like, I understand it's like the exception, not the rule, but God.
But you're asking if Moses and Elijah could have been an exception as well?
I feel like Jesus would be able to, like,
of course,
bring them back as well per his own wishes.
He could, but the theory, just because he himself was glorified, that is, or in a glorified form, that is why they speculate that. Nope. 1 Samuel 28, not 2 Samuel 28.
That would also kind of go with like not like doing anything with the dead. Like not, I wouldn't say he was like inquiring anything of Moses and Elijah, but you know how we're not supposed to like communicate with the dead. So if he did in a time where they were alive, that would also kind of like justify
make more sense that way.
Yeah, because you know Jesus can't sin.
Correct. However, the actual like forbiddance of talking to the dead is not necessarily because the actual act is sinful. It's more so forbidden and sinful for us because if we attempt to do that, the only thing that we're going to be trying to actually communicate with or anything that could try to hear back or respond to us is a demon.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's why it would be
God,
sinful for us.
Well, also to answer Natasha, and I agree to your uh, your school of thought, Tyler, is um, Jesus said, any time you do something, it may be toward an angel. If I'm paraphrasing, but so it would, he would send an angel to take his place, as a representation or something like that. Am I?
Okay, so but yes, the verse you're talking about is in Hebrews, and that says, like, always be kind to strangers because you never know when you've entertained an angel.
Mhm.
One of the
Okay.
coolest and creepiest verses in the entirety of the Bible.
Wait, what is? I'm sorry.
The verse, it's in Hebrews. I don't know exactly where. I think it's Hebrews 6. I could be totally wrong on that, but it says, always be kind to strangers because you never know when you've entertained an angel. Meaning that come across a random person, they might not be a person. Kind of awesome.
That's cool.
But let's
But
see
also
here.
kind of creepy.
Very
Yeah.
creepy because demons are the exact same as angels. So that would apply. Demons are just the evil versions. So it's like potential creepy. But let's see here. So in 1 Samuel 28, verse 15, this is immediately whenever he um, is talking to her. She is freaking out. And the woman said to Saul, I see a divine being coming up from out of the earth. And he said to her, what is his form? And she says, an old man is coming up, and he is wrapped in a robe. And Saul knew that it was Samuel, and he bowed his face to the ground and prostrated himself. Then Samuel said to Saul, why have you disturbed me by bringing me up? And Saul answered, um, I am greatly distressed, for the Philistines are waging war against me, and God has turned away from me and no longer answers me, either by hand of the prophets or by dreams. Therefore, I have called you, that you may make known to me what I should do. And Samuel said, why then do you ask me, since Yahweh has turned away from you and has become your adversary? So Yahweh has done according, I lost my spot. Yahweh has done accordingly as he spoke by my hand, for Yahweh has torn the kingdom out of your hand and given it to your neighbor, to David. As you did not listen to the voice of Yahweh and did not execute his burning anger on Amalek, so Yahweh has done this thing to you this day. Moreover, Yahweh will also give over Israel along with you into the hands of the Philistines. Therefore, tomorrow you and your sons will be with me, which is creepy. Indeed, Yahweh will give over the camp of Israel into the hands of the Philistines. Then Saul quickly fell full length upon the ground and was very afraid because of the words of Samuel.
But I guess
So, like,
what's actually interesting in that is he didn't actually see him. She described him.
that is true.
I didn't realize that until just then.
That is true because you don't know. Yeah, that.
Because she freaks out. He says, don't be afraid. What do you see? Because he can't see it.
Correct.
I
Interesting.
see a spirit.
I've never thought about that either.
What is his? Oh my! Yeah, I just realized that. That's wild.
Okay, so then
So she was
so that
seeing
would
a vision,
or
or
she was
at least.
very
So
interesting because some people do think that some people claim that that was literally a demon that came up pretending to be Samuel. The reason why that's debunked is because he prophesies even then on behalf of Yahweh, and the prophecy comes true.
Right.
Because Saul and his sons then died. Yeah. So very interesting.
You're gonna notate that now.
Yeah, I'm gonna play around with that one, do a little research on it because that is very interesting. I've never looked into that. I've made like 3 videos on this subject and I've never picked up on that. So thank you. That's why this is fun.
I mean, I didn't pick up on it either when I read it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. I wonder if my book says anything about it.
Okay, but let me see. Let me find this Hebrew verse real quick, and then we'll actually get into the Theophanies. Well, Hebrews 13:2. It says, "Do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for by this some have entertained angels without knowing it." Super awesome.
It's awesome. Isn't there another verse where he's like where he's like judging us or judging people, and he's like, "Oh, you didn't clothe me or feed me." Um, and they're like, "When did you need?" Sorry, I can't quote it correctly, but I
When
know.
you do it to the least of these, you've done it unto me.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's the one where he's like, "You didn't clothe me or feed me," and they're like, "Lord, when did you need to be fed?"
I know. I remember that too. I don't remember where it's at, but yeah, I would take it as that though.
Hmm.
Well, let's see here. That
I think.
Matthew
Well,
25:40.
yeah, should
And
be
the
in.
king will say, the king will say, no, the king will answer and say to them, "Truly I say to you, to the extent that you did to one of these brothers of mine, even the least of them, you did it to me."
Oh,
No,
but
there's one that says you didn't. You there's another one though. Um, yeah, it's from what he's saying.
hmm.
That is 3 verses later.
Oh, okay.
"I was a stranger, and you did not invite me in, naked, and you did not clothe me, sick and in prison, and you did not visit me."
Yeah.
25 what?
That was 25, 40, and 43. And then 45, then he will answer to them, saying, "Truly I say to you, to the extent that you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me."
Hmm.
But in that, I don't know if that's in reference to the same kind of concept of like an angel or a theophany or something like that. I think that's more in line with us just being made in the image of God. So the imago Dei, where it's like quite literally, that's why murder is so bad, is because if you murder a person, you are murdering someone who looks like God. You are killing an image of God. You are attempting to kill God in the act of you killing a person.
Hmm.
So I think it's more in line with that. Just like saying like every time that you sin against them, you're sinning against me. Like in Psalm 51, David says, "Against you and only you have I sinned." So even whenever David caused Uriah to be killed and he cheated and slept with his wife and just every atrocious thing that you could possibly do in that single sinful state, he didn't count that as being sins against anyone except for being sins against God.
Hmm.
So I think that might be in the same lines as that. Very
Like
interesting, though.
like loving your neighbor and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's like you love your neighbor as yourself because your neighbor is an image bearer of God. Let's see here.
Well,
"For I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. Naked and you clothed me. I was sick and you visited me. I was in prison and you came to me." Then the righteous will answer him, saying, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? And when did you see a stranger and invite you in, or naked and clothe you? And when did we see you sick or in prison and come to you?" And the king will answer and say to them, truly I say to you, to the extent that you did to one of these brothers of mine, even the least of them, you did to me. Then he will say also to those on his left, depart from me, accursed ones, into the eternal fire, which has been prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not invite me in, naked, and you did not clothe me, sick and in prison, and you did not visit me. Then they themselves also will answer, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or naked or sick or in prison, did not take care of you? Then he will answer them, saying, truly I say to you, to the extent that you did not do to one of the least of these, you did not do to me. And these will go away into eternal punishment, but the righteous into eternal life. Interesting.
What was that again? What
that is Matthew 25. That was starting in verse 35 and reading through 46.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see how that's more like how you said it, with the like the image bearing.
Mm-hmm. I think that'd be more in line, because that whole concept is talking about the judgment, and him kind of expressing that on one's hand, he's going to have those who are his sheep. So on his right hand is the sheep, on the left hand is the goats. And so he's separating the goats. So he's separating the ones who did the will of the Father and the ones who did not do the will of the Father. The ones who did, eternal life. The ones who did not, hell. Very interesting now. Okay. Let's try to get through some Theophanies, because I have all these tabs still, and they have just been smushed and separated. And we got through like 3 of them. So let's try to get through some of them. So let's see here. Which ones did we cover last time? Does anybody remember where we stopped?
I have my list, and I covered some of them.
So I know we got through a couple.
I think we're still in Genesis. I think we hadn't got to Exodus yet.
Okay.
I don't think we went over the burning bush.
Okay. Did we already go through Jacob physically fighting with Jesus? So Genesis 32?
I think we stopped at Sodom and Gomorrah, when it was where the Lord appeared with the 2 other angels.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds
okay.
familiar.
So then the next one would be Jacob wrestling with God. How familiar are you guys with this story?
Love it.
I read it a little recently, so little. I'm like a little fresh on it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So Jacob literally. Let's see here. Okay, so it just jumps in Genesis 32, verse 24. Then Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of dawn. And he saw that he had not prevailed against him. So he touched the socket of his thigh. And so the socket of Jacob's thigh was dislocated while he wrestled with him. Then he said, let me go, for the dawn is breaking. But he said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. So he said to him, what is your name? And he said, Jacob. Then he, Jesus, said, your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with God and with men and have prevailed. Then Jacob asked him and said, please tell me your name. But he said, why is it that you ask my name? And he blessed him there. Awesome. So Jacob named the place Peniel, for he said, I have seen God face to face, yet my life has been delivered. Awesome.
My random thought, why does he ask him his name if he's told him he's God?
Well, that's the thing. He's at this point, no one's ever been told the name of God. The very first time that ever happens is to Moses. But same thing whenever you go into Judges. It's the phrase that you asked me about, where in Judges during the Theophany, where they ask him his name, and he basically says like that it's too wonderful for you to know, something along those lines. Exactly the same thing that Jesus is saying here. Where in this he's saying like, why do you ask my name? In the other one he says, why do you ask my name? For it is wonderful, for it is awesome. But the same terminology is there, where you see this a couple times throughout the Theophanies, where they ask the angel, what is your name? And he responds saying, why do you want to know my name? And then just kind of leaves it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Super cool.
He broke his hip as like a it's because he kept running away from his problems, right? So it was like a symbolism kind of thing, like oh, stop running, like trust in me, like face it also. So
It
like
definitely could be, but I'd have to do a lot more digging in that to actually be able to try to figure out like symbology behind it.
Yeah, it's probably more of a theory, I think.
Which easily could be. Like that could be completely and totally accurate. I'll go diving into that because that is absolutely interesting. All I know would be like the literal reason of like he's losing a wrestling match, so he fights better. Oh, but yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. This doesn't have anything to do with that, but my study Bible says that there's 2 other instances where when God touches somebody, it causes them pain.
Where is that?
Joshua 9:19 and 2 Samuel 14:10.
Ooh. Okay, Joshua 9:19. Wrong with me. Passed it. Joshua 9:19. And Joshua said, roll large stones against the mouth of the cave and assign men by it to keep watch over them. But as for you, do not stand there, pursue your enemies and attack them in the rear. Do not allow them to enter their cities, for Yahweh your God has given them into your hand. I said 9:19?
That does not sound...
Nope, I'm in 10:19. 10:19.
Okay,
My pages were stuck together and I'm stupid. All right. Then all the leaders said to the whole congregation, we have sworn to them by Yahweh, the God of Israel, so now we cannot touch them.
That doesn't make sense either.
I'd say that would be the opposite. What was the other one? 2 Samuel.
Yeah, 2 Samuel 14:10.
14:10. I passed it. I got to get a new one of these Bibles because this one got so much water damage from being left in a car.
I've noticed a few wonky things with my study Bible, but it at least is really good about connecting verses, so I keep going with it.
Good. So the king said, whoever speaks to you, bring him to me, and he will not touch you anymore.
Doesn't make sense either. Sounds good.
No.
Moving on.
Okay. That would have been cool, but I was like, I don't remember that, but that sounds awesome. All right, let's see here. So that Genesis 32 finished. Next one that we see is going to be Exodus 3:14. Next one I have listed at least.
It's kind of funny, like he just jumps Jacob like
Yeah, it doesn't give any like context before that. Yeah. That's what bothers me about it. It's just like he was alone and some dude came up and just like it's like it doesn't give you the background on it. And I really wish it did because I want to know like did he start like talking smack to a random dude? Didn't know it was the angel of God and he smacked him? I had no idea.
But can we be for real? Like most of the Bible doesn't give us background information and it's so annoying.
Correct. There's a lot of things though that do give like weird input on stuff. Like I got corrected super duper hard yesterday. I put out a video where I said that I don't think Mary would have ascended to heaven because only Jesus did that. And I said that I don't think that Enoch actually ascended to heaven. Then they pointed to Hebrews 11:5, which literally does say that God spared Enoch from experiencing death. So I was like, Okay, so there is a background there. It's not just figurative language, or at least the author of Hebrews thought it was literal, which means it is literal. So I got smacked on that one very wonderfully. I was very happy about that. But that would be the same kind of situation with that. Interesting.
What about Elijah? I know that they say that Elijah also got taken, but
yeah, that's 2 Kings 2:11. It says that he was taken up in a whirlwind of fire.
sounds like that would kill him, right?
I mean, yeah, I don't know if that means he died or what that means with that one. That's the tricky part about that. I do not know if that's poetic language or if that was literal.
Yeah.
But then you also have in John 3:13, I just had a guy ask me to make a video on this, which is why these are fresh in my head, where Jesus literally says that no one's ascended to heaven aside from him who has descended from it. So Jesus is literally saying there's no one in heaven yet. The only one that does this is me. So it's interesting to see what regard it's talking about that, because him ascending to heaven, he didn't ascend to the third heaven, because the third heaven being like the place that God dwells, because the Bible talks about the three heavens, which is literally just the sky, space, and then the actual place that we think of as heaven. No one went to that one yet. So that's very, very tricky.
So could it be some kind of like, I don't know, like they go up kind of a thing? Like it appears as if they go up, but they truly go to Sheol?
Yeah. But yeah,
Kind of
it says he's caught in a whirlwind, so maybe he literally got stuck in a tornado. I mean, like it could be actually hyper literal, and everyone assumes it's not. He could literally have died by tornado.
I live in Tornado Valley, so that's a thing.
Yeah, see?
Oh my gosh,
But
the most recent Tornado Valley was not very good.
What happened with that?
No, you didn't hear about the giant storms that went through, like, I don't know, south of me a bit, but like I feel like I'm gonna be wrong at this number. It sounded like there was like 20 some people died in a giant storm 2 weeks ago.
That's horrible. I didn't hear about that at all.
Yeah, it was not good. It wasn't in my area. I live in like right in the edge of Tornado Alley.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks. I don't hear about a lot of things. I don't see a lot of news because anytime that I'm on my phone on any of the social media stuff, it's usually responding to people arguing with me, and then I don't scroll because that just drives me insane.
Yeah, there was a giant cell that went through multiple states. So
that is so sad.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I didn't see that at all. So then it's possible. Could have been literal. It says it was on fire, and that's terrifying. Okay, Exodus 3:14. Backing up ever so slightly because of this one gives you the context of it. We back up to yeah, so it says, starting in verse 2, so Moses is up on the side of this mountain, and he is tending to the flock that is owned by Jethro, his father-in-law. And the angel of the Lord, or the angel of Yahweh, appeared to him in a blazing fire from the midst of the bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush was burning with fire, yet the bush was not consumed. So Moses said, I must turn aside now and see this marvelous sight. Why is this bush not burned up? And Yahweh saw that he turned aside to look. So God called to him from the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, here I am. So just immediately it says that the angel of Yahweh appeared in the blazing bush. Then it says, God said. So that one's just directly, plainly saying that the angel of the Lord is literally God here. Moses, and he said, Here I am. Then he said, Do not come near, remove your sandals from your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground. He said also, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. Then Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. Then Yahweh said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt, and I have heard their cry because of their taskmasters. For I know their suffering. So I have come down to deliver them from the hand of the Egyptians and to bring them from the land, from that land to a good and spacious land, to a land flowing with milk and honey, to the place of the Canaanite and the Hittite and the Amorite and the Perizzite, and the Hivite and the Jebusite. So now behold, the cry of the sons of Israel has come to me, and I have also seen the oppression with which the Egyptians are oppressing them. So now come, and I will send you to Pharaoh, and you shall bring my people, the sons of Israel, out of Egypt. But Moses said to God, Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh, and that I should bring the sons of Israel out of Egypt? And he said, Certainly I will be with you, and this shall be the sign to you, that it is I who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall serve God at this mountain. Then Moses said to God, Behold, I am about to come to the sons of Israel, and I will say to them, the God of your fathers has sent me to you, and they will say to me, What is his name? What shall I say to them? And God says to Moses, I am who I am. And he said, Thus you shall say to the sons of Israel, I am has sent me to you. Beautiful. And God furthermore said to Moses, Thus you shall say to the sons of Israel, Yahweh, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob has sent me to you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial name from generation to generation. Go and gather the elders of Israel together and say to them, Yahweh, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, has appeared to me, saying, I indeed care about you and what has been done in Egypt. So I said, I will bring you out of the affliction of Egypt to the land of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, and to a land flowing with milk and honey. And they will listen to your voice, and you with the elders of Israel will come to the king, of Egypt, and all will say to him, Yahweh, the God of the Hebrews, has met us. So now please let us go 3 days' journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice to Yahweh our God. Awesome. So there is the first time that God is declaring his name to be I am. Declaring his name to be Yahweh. Awesome.
This is my favorite one. Whenever I try to tell anybody that the angel of the Lord is God, I show them this because, like, it can't be any plainer, I don't feel.
Exactly. And then this, whenever he says that this is my eternal name, my memorial name from generation to generation. And then this is the very name that Jesus calls himself, which is the exclusive reason why Jesus gets crucified. Awesome. All right, let's see here. Start gently removing these sticky notes after we accomplish a task. All right, the next one I had on here was Exodus 23. But where did it start?
20?
Exodus 23.
No, I know. 23:20 is what I'm asking. Sorry.
That could be it.
Looks like it to me. Oh, maybe not. I send an angel. Well, it's capitalized though. My angel, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it says that my name is in him, which means that he is God.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Trying to find my full list. That way I actually have it written down instead of just going off the sticky notes that mark the pages. Got it. Okay. 20 to 23. Yeah, so behold, I'm going to send an angel before you uh, to keep you along the way and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Keep watch of yourselves before him and listen to his voice. Do not be rebellious towards him, for he will not pardon your transgressions, since my name is in him. But if you truly listen to his voice and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy to your enemies and an adversary to your adversaries. For my angel will go before you and bring you into the land of the Amorites and the Hittites and the Perizzites and the Canaanites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, and I will annihilate them. Oh, awesome. Yeah, so that angel, whenever it's saying that it is God's angel and that my name is in him, that is God's name is only in God. So if someone has God's name in him, that is quite literally going to be God. There's another one that talks about that. I can't remember exactly what it was. But let's see here. Next one on the list.
Hey, everybody. This is my son, Thomas.
Hi guys.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
How's it going?
All right, get off my lawn.
Do you want to eat up here or wait to eat?
Wait to eat. Thank you.
All right, bye, Dad. Love you.
That's awesome. Let's see here. The next one I have is Exodus 33, 18 to 23. And this one we did briefly talk about last time because this one says that you cannot see God and live. But this is where you see, we'll just read it.
That last one was him in the pillar of fire and cloud, right? The one that we just talked about?
I believe so, yes. I believe that is it because let's see here. We'll go into Exodus 32, verse 34. But now go guide the people where I told you, behold, my angel shall go before you. Nevertheless, in the day when I will punish them for their sin. Then Yahweh smote the people because, yeah. So I believe it is referencing the pillar of fire at night that they're following. I believe that is how the angel of the Lord is appearing in that.
Cool.
Which is awesome.
Which would be the same. Hold on. Would that be the same? No, that's never mind. Ignore me.
Okay. But let's see here. So Exodus 33, 18 to 23. Then Moses said, I pray you, show me your glory. And he said, I myself will make all my goodness pass before you, and I will proclaim the name of Yahweh before you, and I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and I will show compassion on whom I will show compassion. But he said, you cannot see my face, for no man can see me and live. Then Yahweh said, behold, there is a place by me. You shall stand there on the rock, and it will come about while my glory is passing by that I will put you in the cleft of the rock and cover you with my hand until I have passed by. Then I will remove my hand, and you shall see my back, but my face shall not be seen.
But from what I catch from that is he wants to see him in full
glory.
Full glory, which is why we can't. But he has a part of him that we can see.
Yes, which is interesting that we can't see his face, but he allows him to see the back of his head.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting. But I think that would be one of the other things where the transfiguration would make sense with this kind of stuff, where you have the angel of the Lord being visible in some capacities. But then, quite literally, here, it's not talking about the angel of the Lord. This is quite literally just him saying that it is him while my glory is passing by. So it's quite literally just the glorified body, not the, I guess, slightly reduced body, which would make sense in terms of the transfiguration, where they see Jesus temporarily transfigured in this more glorified form. That is the time that he literally did transcend time and go back to when these people could see his face.
So he's making himself even lesser before he comes as human.
Yes, kind of.
Not like
it's very confusing. We chose a very heavy subject to try to diagnose.
I don't think this is related, but I found it kind of cool. When Moses is getting the Ten Commandments, that just in being in God's presence, he doesn't notice that his face starts glowing. And
Yeah,
then when he comes down, he has to like wear a veil, or else like he'll blind everybody. But I
isn't
thought
that
that was
weird?
cool. Yeah, it's kind of like, well, I'm not saying like Moses, God, like I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying like that's cool how like God said like, oh, you can't see my face, you know. And then just by hanging around him, it's like, oh, you can't see Moses' face for a little while. It's,
Exactly. And that would be like making again sense with the transfiguration, because the way that they see Moses and Elijah, it's I think that's Matthew 17, but let's see here. Let's see when this is. Yeah, Matthew 17, 1 through 8. And then Mark 9, 2 through 8, Luke 9, 28 to 36. I'll go to Matthew 17. One of you want to go to Mark 9, and the other one to go to Luke 9?
I'll go.
Go to Luke now.
Mark. What was it? Mark, which one?
Mark 9, 2 through 8.
Okay.
And what was Luke 9?
What was that?
Luke 9, what?
Luke 9, 28 to 36. Okay, so Matthew 17, 1 through 8. And 6 days later, Jesus brought with him Peter, James, and John, his brother, and led them up on a high mountain by themselves. And he was transfigured before them, and his face shone like the sun, and his garments became as white as light. And behold, Moses and Elijah appeared to them, talking with them. And Peter answered and said to Jesus, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will make 3 booths here, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. When he was still speaking, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and behold, a voice out of the cloud said, This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him. And when the disciple heard this, they fell on their faces and were terrified. And Jesus came to them and touched them and said, Get up, do not be afraid. And lifting up their eyes, they saw no one except Jesus himself alone. Now, who's got Mark?
I've got it over here.
Perfect.
Okay, this is the New King James Version, just so you know.
That's totally fine.
Mm-hmm. Now, after 6 days, Jesus took Peter, James, John, and led them up on a high mountain, apart by themselves, and he was transfigured before them. His clothes became shining, exceedingly white, like snow, such as no launderer on earth can whiten them. And Elijah appeared to them with Moses, and they were talking with Jesus. Then Peter answered and said to Jesus, Rabbi, is it good for us to be here? And let us make 3 tabernacles, one for you, and one for Moses, and one for Elijah. Because he did not know what to say, for that they were greatly afraid. And a cloud came and overshadowed them. And a voice came out of the cloud saying, This is my beloved Son, hear him. Suddenly, when they had looked around, they saw no one anymore, but only Jesus with themselves.
Awesome. And who has Luke?
The Transfiguration. Now it happened some 8 days after these words that taking along Peter, John, and James, he went up on the mountain to pray. And it happened that while he was praying, the appearance of his face became different, and his clothing became white and gleaming. And behold, two men were talking with him, and they were Moses and Elijah, who appearing in glory were speaking of his departure, which he was about to fulfill in Jerusalem. Now Peter and his companion had been overcome with sleep, but when they were fully awake, they saw his glory and the two men standing with him. And it happened that as they were leaving him, Peter said to Jesus, Master, is it good for us to be here? Let us make three booths, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah, not realizing what he was saying. While he was saying this, a cloud formed and began to overshadow them, and they were afraid as they entered the cloud. Then a voice came out of the cloud saying, This is my son, my chosen one. Listen to him. One verse. And when the voice has spoken, Jesus was found alone, and they kept silent and reported to no one in those days of any of those things which they had seen.
Another reference to it as well. 2 Peter 16.
And what does that say?
For we do not follow cunningly devised fables when we made known to you the power and coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, but we were eyewitnesses of his majesty, for he received from God the Father honor and glory when such a voice came to him from the excellent glory. This is my beloved Son in whom I am well pleased. And we heard his voice, which came from heaven when we were with him on the holy mountain. And so we have the prophetic word confirmed, which you do well to heed as a light that shines in the dark place until the day dawns and the morning stars rise in your heart. I mean, it doesn't really say too much more about it,
but it does reference either that. I would assume that it's referencing that compared to his baptism, because this is what Peter actually did witness then.
Yes, yeah. This is eyewitnesses. Yep.
Yeah, because Mark,
and not at a river.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, Mark is Peter's gospel. Yeah. Mark was the scribe of Peter. So that's interesting.
So there's another reference.
That's cool. I didn't know. Weren't they not allowed to talk about it until Jesus had ascended?
That's what it says in here. It says, and they kept silence and reported to no one in those days of anything which they had seen.
That's awesome.
But let's see here. But yeah, so this is the thing that was going back to Moses' face glowing, is that as they see Moses and Elijah talking to Jesus, and it's saying that his face became different, his clothing became white and gleaming, and behold, two men were talking to him. They were Moses and Elijah, who were appearing in glory, speaking of his departure, which he was about to fulfill at Jerusalem. That is interesting. Because it kind of, which I might be reading this weirdly. So this is the same translation that you just read that out of. You have LSB, right, Bradley?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Does someone have a different translation to read verse 30 and 31? Of Luke 9.
Yeah, I have New King James Version. You
Perfect.
said 30 and 31?
Yes.
And behold, two men talked with him who were Moses and Elijah, who appeared in glory and spoke of his deceased Sorry, which he was about to accomplish in Jerusalem.
So this is showing. So it's not just that translation. I want to check this on a couple more, but it is saying that it was not just Jesus that was appearing in glory, but it says that Moses and Elijah were also, where it says that the two men were talking to him, they were Moses and Elijah, who appearing in glory were speaking of his departure.
Did you
So
want a translation to?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, where are we at again? I'm sorry. I had a,
Luke 9:30 and 31.
yeah, on the Bible app, it lets you compare.
That's what I'm pulling up,
Yeah.
trying to get as many as I can because this is interesting, but I don't want to be incorrect on this. And I want to make sure that they all word it as, because the other gospels don't mention Moses or Elijah as being appearing in glory in any way, shape, or form. But this is talking about it because it's saying who appearing in glory were speaking of his departure, meaning that they were speaking of Jesus's departure. So them appearing in glory were speaking of it is the way that the LSB words it. CSB, suddenly two men were talking with him, Moses and Elijah. They appeared in glory and were speaking of his departure. NLT, suddenly two men, Moses and Elijah, appeared and began talking with Jesus, and they were glorious to see. And behold, two men, Moses and Elijah, who appeared in glory and spoke of his departure. Moses and Elijah, who appeared in glory. Moses and Elijah, who appeared in glory. Which appeared in glory is the Geneva Bible. NASB 2020, who were appearing in glory. NIV, they spoke about his departure. That one, two men, Moses and Elijah, appeared in glorious splendor talking with Jesus. That's
wow.
that's why I don't like the NIV. That is the most different translation of all of these.
Is James Version glory as well?
Yeah, so I quite literally do think that this showed them both glowing. And so if they're both appearing in glory in some capacity, then you see Moses back then with his face glowing. I think that this could be like possibly the best evidence for that. Just the fact that they were also appearing in glory and they couldn't look at Moses's face because it was glowing.
That's so cool. Wow, I didn't
Yes.
even catch that.
Oh, I love this.
This is a little off topic, but have you ever seen any like Renaissance statues of Moses? They so this there was a mistranslation like back then where instead of that it was saying that his face was shining, the mistranslation said that he grew horns. So if you look at any like Renaissance statue of Moses, he always has horns for some reason. Well, for that reason.
Interesting.
Yeah, like if you search up, I think I want to say I don't know if it was Michelangelo. I know it was one of the Ninja Turtle guys.
That one?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
has
he
they give
has
him horns.
horns.
It's a mistranslation, and then like you know how we get like 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 how we get better translations over time, you know?
Yeah,
But yeah, that people used to think that it said that he had horns instead of that his face was shining. Something about
interesting.
the word looking similar, I think.
Could it be horns or looking like horns as the rays that come off of similar to the Statue of Liberty, the peaks?
Oh, I didn't think of that. Maybe.
Interesting. So let's see here. This is saying in Exodus 34:29 says Moses' face was radiant after speaking with God. Hebrew, let's see here. The word is karan from the root keren, meaning ray or horn. So let's see here. So the Hebrew into Latin rendered as karan or horn, which would be cornuta instead of radiant. So then the Vulgate says that Moses had horns. So yes, it was a bad translation into Latin. Very cool. I did
Yeah.
not know that. Okay, so that is in the Latin Vulgate, which is what Michelangelo was using whenever he sculpted it. So he based it exclusively on that translation. Very weird, very creepy. Awesome.
So, because I like to look in my giant book, there is a huge section on glory for that. Fun fact.
Interesting. Is there anything specific that stands out within that gigantic section?
It states likeness like God is probably the most likeness of Christ, sorry. Brightness and splendor, supernatural, emanating God. Just different things like that.
Okay.
So
very cool.
It's actually like probably one of the longer ones I've actually seen. There's a lot to it.
Interesting. I need to get that book. I need to just buy it already. Okay, so let's see here. So we did that. The next one I have on my list would be Joshua 2. No, Joshua.
Where they go into battle.
I don't have it on this list. Joshua 5. But let's see here. Joshua 5 what? That is the question. You have it?
I think. Give me just a second.
15.
Oh, never mind. He's got it.
Joshua 5:15.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So going back to 13. Now it happened when Joshua was by Jericho that he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, a man was standing opposite him with his sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went to him and said to him, "Are you for us or for our adversaries?" He said, "No, rather, I indeed come now as the commander of the host of Yahweh." And Joshua fell on his face to the earth and bowed down and said to him, "What has my Lord to say to his slave?" The commander of the host of Yahweh said to Joshua, "Remove your sandals from your feet, for the ground or for the place on which you're standing is holy." And Joshua did so. Awesome.
Wow.
So literally says the exact same thing that God tells to Moses about taking off his shoes. But the commander of the hosts of Yahweh, that is in other translations, it will say it a little bit more understandably. The hosts of Yahweh's army, the commander of his army, it is quite literally the commander of God's angelic military, essentially.
And we see it referenced in Revelation.
Yes. Awesome. Such a cool one. Going into Joshua, like later, you have so much that I need to just I need to do a full video on that because it is super, super duper fun and creepy. That's awesome. Okay, next one. Let's see here. Next one I have on here is Judges 6:11 through 24. So starting at verse 11, then the angel of Yahweh came and sat under the oak that was in Ophrah, which belonged to Joash, the Abizabebebebebe. Anyone know how to pronounce that word? That's a Bizarite? A Bizarite? Is it a Bizarite or a Bizarite?
I did not hear a difference with that.
I'll assume it's either of them. Which belonged to Joash the Abizarite, as his son Gideon was beating out the wheat in the winepress in order to preserve it from the Midianites. And the angel of Yahweh appeared to him and said to him, "Yahweh is with you, O mighty man of valor." Then Gideon said to him, "O my Lord, if Yahweh is with us, then why has all of this happened to us? And where are all his wondrous deeds, which our fathers recounted to us, saying, Did not Yahweh bring us up from Egypt? And now Yahweh has abandoned us and given us to the hand of the Midian. Then Yahweh turned to him and said, so cool. Yahweh turned to him and said, Go in this strength of yours and save Israel from the hand of Midian. Have I not sent you? But he said to him, O Lord, with what shall I save Israel? Behold, my clan is the least in Manasseh, and I am the youngest in my father's house. But Yahweh said to him, Surely I will be with you, and you shall strike down Midian as one man. So Gideon said to him, If now I have found favor in your eyes, then do a sign for me, that is, you who speak with me. Please do not depart from here until I come back to you, and I bring out my offering and lay it before you. And he said, I will remain until you return. So Gideon went in and prepared a young goat and unleavened bread from an ephah of flour. He put the meat in a basket and the broth in a pot and brought them out to him under the oak and presented it to him. And the angel of God said to him, Take the meat and the unleavened bread and lay them on this rock and pour out the broth. And he did so. Then the angel of Yahweh put out the end of his staff that was in his hand and touched the meat and the unleavened bread, and the fire sprang up from the rock and consumed the meat and the unleavened bread. Then the angel of Yahweh went away before his eyes, and Gideon saw that the angel of Yahweh, or that he was the angel of Yahweh. So he said, Alas, O Lord Yahweh, for now I have seen the angel of Yahweh face to face. And Yahweh said to him, Peace to you, do not fear, you shall not die. So Gideon built an altar there to Yahweh and named it Yahweh is Peace. To this day, it is still in Ophrah of the Abizrites. So cool.
Mm-hmm.
I love this.
Swapping back and forth between angel of the Lord and God himself.
Exactly. Where it's just directly saying that it's Yahweh talking to him or angel of Yahweh talking to him.
And reiterate, he's not going to die because he saw his face.
Yes. Which is, once again, interesting. What do I know?
Oh, I was asking how come like Jews wouldn't say Yahweh? They'd always say the Lord or Adonai. Like they'd always change it.
Because they were just trying to be overly cautious about Exodus 20, saying not to take the Lord's name in vain. So if you were to say God's name without giving it due reverence, then that would be taking his name in vain. So they traditionally swapped out any usage of God's eternal name, Yahweh. They replaced it with Adonai, which just means Lord, which is the tradition that continued into most translations. So it's just out of reverence, just trying to make sure that they did not blaspheme God. But I think they took it a step too far, because then it just kind of,
Yeah, like for lack of better words, like they were just like doing too much, like also with the cleanliness and all that other stuff.
yeah, exactly.
They were being legalistic.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, and just
there's nothing like actually wrong with saying Yahweh, right?
No, not as long as you say it with due respect. Like if
Yeah.
you were to throw it around in a bad way, that's horrible.
Yeah.
But like people who like say Jesus's name as an expletive, that is taking God's name in vain. Which like Jesus, his literal name, the Hebrew of it, Yeshua, literally means Yahweh's salvation or the salvation of Yah. So it's like that's taking God's name in vain whenever you say Jesus out of context.
I had to like point it out to my cousin that she was doing it because we were in a 2-minute car ride, maybe. And she had said it like 2 or 3 times. And I'm like, bro, you need to stop.
Yeah.
It's horrible. Like I'm very guilty of that. I did that for a lot of my life before I understood how horrible it was. And
well, it's just kind of interesting. I guess I just find it interesting how how regular everything ends up becoming.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the Bible foreshadows all of it. Like we will, like the whole world will know my name. Well, the whole world is going to end up like using your name in vain because
exactly
that's how we know your name, which is so sad. But yeah,
that's
It's crazy
horrible.
that
But
they use like Jesus's name over like anyone else's, you know?
exactly because they hate him.
Mhm.
do you
Same.
imagine if some like how our culture now just uses Jesus's name in vain all the time? If we were just like,
Obama.
well, I was gonna say Allah, but yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Could you
that would be.
imagine the uproar you'd get for it?
Oh yeah, it's insane. There was a video I watched the other day where there are these Muslims who were like street preaching, and someone said that they named their dog Muhammad, and the Muslim just immediately attacked him. It's like
Not surprised.
that's on par.
Mhm.
Very aggressive devil worshippers.
Yeah.
Okay, we were at Judges 13.
Mhm.
13 or 6?
We did 6. Next
Oh.
one is 13. And this one is arguably my favorite one just because it is about the birth of Samson. And I love Samson. Such a good story.
Maybe.
Which one?
Oh, no. Yeah, I brought this one up last time.
Did we already go over this one last time?
Well, I mean, you'll probably go into a better detail than me. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that one. Oh yeah, I also find that we miss out a lot in Samson's life. I swear.
Yes. Which I mean, sad. Yeah, we only have it within the 4 chapters.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, his life only goes from Judges 13 to Judges 16. Or it goes through 16, so it ends at 17.
Well, and like, let's see here. It says that he judges Israel for 22 years. It says it twice, by the way. I find that very interesting. The end of 15 and the end of 16. It says that Samson judged them for 22 years. But you never see him with Israel. He is only off with random women, and I find it so funny. So I'm like, what was he doing for Israel besides just destroying them because of his lustfulness?
Well, so it says in 1520, and he judged Israel for 24 years, or for 20 years in the days of the Philistines. But that's quite literally, he was a Nazarite. His entire life's job was to physically fight the Philistines.
Okay, so then he needed to stay there. Then.
Yeah, so he was. That's why Samson is such a cool story, because he was literally a superhero.
Right.
Like, it is incredible. Like, I can't remember off the top of my head what it says, like that he had the strength of like 12 men, which just like think about that in context. If like a dude is, if I'm like twice as strong as another dude, it's like, okay, that's fair. But this being 12 times the strength of a normal guy is just insane. Well, I think it says 12.
One of the commentaries that I heard with it, when it talks about him fighting, and it says something about like hip and thigh, like they quite literally think he's ripping people from.
Yes.
Like ripping people apart.
Yeah, like, which whenever he kills the lion, it says that he literally rips it in half. It's like, oh, wow. Dude, yeah, can you imagine ripping a lion? Like, yeah, dude, my shoulders would give out instantly.
Right, but I wonder why it says it twice first in 15 and then second in 16 that he judges Israel for 22 years. I find that kind of interesting.
It could just be a reiteration of it. Yeah, he judged Israel 20 years in the days of the Philistine. And then thus he had judged Israel 20 years. So one of them is
20 years.
Yeah, it says 20 years in both for mine. Does it say 22 in yours?
Nope, it says 20. I'm remembering wrong.
Let's see here. But yeah, let's see here. I still want to find that, but it talks about the spirit of Yahweh entering him, and then he gets hulked out
14:6.
in 14:6.
Yes. And the spirit of Yahweh came upon him mightily, so he tore it as one tears a young goat, though he had nothing in his hand. But he did not tell his father or mother what he had done.
Yeah.
Talk about keeping something from your parents, man.
Yeah, that's a hefty one because that's like one of the few things that he wasn't allowed to do is touch a dead body.
Well, I mean, can we also talk about how he just randomly rips a lion in half, but like he was on a walk with his parents?
He was on a walk with his parents.
Yeah, he departed with his parents.
Let's see. Yeah, verse 5. Then Samson went down to Timnah with his father and mother. They came as far as the vineyards of Timnah, and behold, a young lion came roaring towards him. And the spirit of Yahweh came upon him mightily, so that he tore it as one tears a young goat, though he had nothing in his hand. But he did not tell his father or mother what he had done.
So, can we talk about how far away he was from his mother and his father?
It does say that they're going to a vineyard, which he is forbidden from doing anything involving grapes.
Yeah, well, he does everything he's not supposed to do. So
that is true. But at that point, he was with them, so maybe they were going to get wine, and he was separate from them when a lion attacked him. But then later, he goes back to the lion, and bees had made honey in there, and he eats it.
Yeah. Well,
so weird.
Also, I don't know if you figured out how far away. Sorry, like going when he gets mad at his wedding and like goes and destroys some Amorites. Do you realize how far away he goes to destroy those Amorites?
No.
It is nearly 15 miles.
You think he like jumped? Like, you ever seen The Incredible Hulk?
For real. I looked it up because I'm like, well, how far away was this town? And I used one of my friends' like maps in their book, and we used like the little
gauge.
Yeah, the little gauge, and it was nearly 15 miles. I'm like, bro, that's not blowing off steam. Like, that's on a mission.
Yeah, no, that's insane.
And I mean, it makes sense then, like why. I mean, he takes forever to come back and whatnot. I mean, well, no, that's him going into a cave and hiding. But
you think he ran into his parents like with like blood all over him? And they're like, "What's that?" And he's like, "Oh, I found some grapes over there." Like,
don't worry, I didn't eat them.
I just rolled around in them for a little bit. It felt nice.
Samson's a wild story.
It is super weird. Yeah, so what part is that? Because I want to see that. What part is it that's like where he's leaving the wedding to travel?
Well, he leaves the wedding because he's mad at his wife for telling the what it is.
Yes. Out of the eater came something to eat. Out of the strong came something sweet.
So it states where they're at. I can't remember where it states where they're at. But then but he went down to Ashkelon, and killed 30 men there. Where are they at?
Oh, let's see here.
They went to Timnah. So from Timnah to Ashkelon is, nearly 30 miles.
That is insane.
Yeah. Or not 30, 15. Sorry.
You're thinking of the 30 foxes he tied together.
Well, it says that he went down there and he struck down 30 men.
Took their apparel and then gave their clothing. Like, here, take this.
Yeah, so this right here, ChatGPT is wonderful for a few things like this. It says Samson traveled from Timnah, where the wedding took place, to Ashkelon, a distance of approximately 30 to 35 miles, 48 to 56 kilometers.
Oh, I was way off. Yeah.
It's
See,
twice as that's
not
insane.
just a jaunt across the river.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely
like,
insane.
He was on a mission.
That is, you know how mad you have to be. So this says that this would have been a significant journey, taking likely a full day or more if on foot. It's like, you know how mad you have to be to walk for an entire day and then go kill 30 dudes? Like,
okay, let's think about it this way, maybe. If he has extraordinary power, could he just have, like...
super lung capacity?
Yeah, well, super lung capacity, but also could walk really fast or run really fast, because the force could also be that way.
It could be.
I think he jumped. Jumped.
Maybe
No.
I really want that to
jump
be the
and
accurate
ran.
way.
Maybe jump and ran like Sonic, you know?
That
Yeah.
would be really cool.
Okay.
It's like, I
Slightly-
always think of him being like super strong, but if he was super strong and if he was literally Superman without the flying,
Mhm.
dude, that'd be cool.
slightly like offshoot thing, but it reminded me. This, I have absolutely zero proof on any of this. It's just a thought process. I semi think that like the Greek gods kind of a thing form from the Nephilims. To me, that
Yes.
makes sense.
That does make sense, and that is a theory. But let's see here. There is also the ancient demons. We have a lot of evidence that they were worshipped themselves. So the Nephilim were the products of these demons creating offspring with humans.
Right.
So not necessarily the Nephilims being the Greek gods, which there's potential for it. But it also like the just actual demons themselves,
right?
Being the very sorry,
like I was actually thinking like Percy Jackson kind of a thing. So yeah, it'd be the half-blood offspring kids. Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. That's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so it's interesting because you see certain demons that are in every single society that have the same traits, but will have slightly different names or terms. So, like you see Baal appearing as Zeus. So, like quite literally, you have this demon that's talked about in the Bible having the exact same traits as Zeus. You see Ishtar being the same as Venus, Isis, Aphrodite. You see Moloch appearing as a variety of different things like Yule or Planned Parenthood today. But it's the same kind of concept where you see a demon being worshipped as multiple different names or multiple different deity type things in all these different cultures. So I think it's which I don't know if it would
about how the Greek god's father, is it Tartus or whatever, eats his kids, and let's see here, like Lucifer, Satan or whatever himself, like pretty much does that to him. Like not actually, but he like brings them down, so in a way like destroys them, because he brings them down with him.
Would the names of these demons be similar or parallel to us, like praying the names of God or praying the names of Yahweh?
What do you mean?
There are several books out there that that will give each one of the name Jehovah, Yahweh, all the different names of God, and it's not a different way to reach God. It's more of just um, a not ceremony, just a thankfulness or a hey, I'm recognizing this name that you did this certain thing underneath, and you're praying that name. Have you not heard of praying the names of God?
Not in regards to that, no.
I was just wondering if there was a correlation. I mean, maybe I'm thinking way out on a limb.
But I'm trying to follow what you're saying, but I'm not
I'm
following
not.
it.
I'm not exactly regurgitating it very clearly. So I'll do some research and message you on that and see what
Okay.
see where we're going with that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. Are you saying that?
Like if what we call him matters.
Yeah, by the different names that we recognize him, God, Yahweh, I am, Jehovah, Adonai, different things like that, and you pray to God Himself, but you're calling Him by those names that He, I don't want to say appeared by, but He was recognized by His people, by the Israelites, and by the downline for things that He did, having had that name at that time.
Okay, so like him being El Rahoy from
Mm-hmm.
Haggard.
Mm-hmm.
So are you saying? Are you asking like if that's what about that? Are you asking it's similar to like the demons having multiple names?
Yes.
I don't think so.
But,
I think it's quite literally that the demons were appearing, not necessarily because all the names that you have for God in that way is like a name that someone applied to God, saying like that, like Elder Hoyer, for example, whenever Haggard is out in the wilderness, that says, or that means the God who sees me, I believe.
mm-hmm.
I think that's different in terms of like those aren't necessarily his names; those are just like
descriptions.
Yeah, descriptions that people
Okay.
gave to him. Whereas in the other societies, it's literally you'll have the same demons not getting different descriptions, but they're known by completely different names.
Okay.
And yet every civilization has worshipped the same demons in basically every society for all of time.
Okay.
Like even going back into the Exodus, the 10 plagues were specifically targeting 10 demons that the Egyptians were worshiping.
Okay.
So it was quite literally where he's trying to show that these don't have power, but they were literally demons that were being worshipped. So he was fighting the false gods, fighting the demons. But then you see those same demons being worshipped by societies in completely different parts of the world who had nothing to do with that part, but yet somehow they're worshiping something that's demanding praise in the exact same way.
Yeah.
So like you have Canaanites, they have Moloch, which was the god of child sacrifice. You have the Aztecs, who would cut out the beating heart of a virgin to sacrifice it to the sun. I'm not sure what name they had for the sun. I think Mithra. I could be very wrong on that. But then you have the Norse, where you had Yule, where they would burn children alive on a Yule log. The Canaanites had nothing to do with the Aztecs or the Norse, but they all had the exact same way of worshiping that demon by murdering their kids.
I got you.
So I think it's very different. I think that God has like those descriptive names applied to him from people that he did something with, but I don't think it's similar in that.
Okay.
It's like
Good thought,
Jesus' transliterated names, no? Like how it's Yesha, Yeshua, Jesus, Jesus.
Similar. So that would be more on the Yahweh and the Jehovah part.
Okay.
Where Jehovah is just a poor translation of Yahweh. Where I don't know why we came to that, because that would be Yahweh, and then that turned into Jehovah and then Jehovah instead of just Yahweh. So that one would be the transliteration there, but the ones on like El Rahoy or like Shema El, that kind of thing would be different, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I know Adonai just means Lord, no?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, so like the Shema, modern Christians, if they recite it, would be Shema Yisrael Yahweh Lahenu Yahweh Echad, which is Hear, O Israel, Yahweh is God, Yahweh is one. But the way that modern Jews will do it, or even Jews going back, would be Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. So they would replace Yahweh's name even in that declaration of God being singular as him being one, or as him being Lord.
That's what you said when you held your nephew, right?
Yep. Super duper creepy. Super awesome. Which I said a bunch of different things to him, but it was that whenever I said Yahweh during that he opened his eyes and just like, wow, it is terrifying. That kid is so big right now. He's like 17 months old and he's like running upstairs and insane.
Yeah. Mine turns 14 tomorrow.
Oh, that's exciting. Happy birthday.
Yeah. And he's got a trap tournament. So I don't know if he'll have his mind on the trap. So
he better.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like the best thing that you could possibly do for your birthday. I would, gosh.
Yeah.
If I was 14 and he turned 14, right? Or he's turning 14?
Turning 14.
Turning 14. Yeah. If I was turning that age and for my birthday, I could go shoot shotguns.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The best thing you could do for it. Yeah. Okay. So let's see here. Getting back to it. Let me find my list. All right. We got. Next one I have was Samuel 1. 1 Samuel 3.
So is it correct to say the whole Bible is about Jesus?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, cover to cover. Because Jesus is the God of the Old Testament. That's why I like Jude so much, which just plainly says that Jesus is the God who saved the people out of Egypt.
Okay.
Where just like this entire thing is about that one singular God, which is Jesus. Awesome. But yeah, like everything throughout the entirety of the Bible is always pointing to Jesus. So even like the Seder meal that they would have at the Passover, the bread is literally like it would be unleavened bread, which the symbology behind that would be that the bread was symbolic of it having no sin. It had to be scored, where they would cut into it. Jesus was flogged, and then it had to be pierced, where they had to penetrate the bread, and Jesus was pierced. So during the Last Supper, when Jesus says, like, this is my body, this is my blood, the thing that he was doing was not transubstantiating it like Catholics would say. He was literally saying, like, hey, you know this celebration that you guys have been doing for about 1,000 years? It's about me. Like this is representing what I'm about to do. Like that's what that meant.
Which is also represented the blood on the doorpost.
Exactly. Yeah. So that whenever they put the blood on the doorpost, it was on the sides and on the top. And if it's on the top, then it's going to be dripping down. So cool. But yeah, and then even with that, the lamb, they couldn't break a bone in its body. It had to be spotless. It could have no blemishes. It had to be the firstborn of everything was symbolic of Jesus. That's why this tattoo on the bicep is Exodus 12:23, and it's the angel of death. And can't really see it too well, but there's pyramids in his mouth because of the angel of death going through the land of Egypt to strike down the firstborn. But that verse in Exodus 12:23 says that whoever puts the blood on their doorposts, that I will not permit my angel of death to enter your house and strike you down. So it's just like, but it's all foreshadowing Jesus, where if they did that, if they shed the blood of the spotless lamb, then Jesus would not, or then God would not let them suffer death, essentially, which is the entirety of Jesus.
Random thought. Did you say that it is stated as the angel of death?
That one, yes, it says depends on the translations. Some of those will say God will not permit his death angel. Some say not permit his destroyer. Which, if we look at Revelation 9, it actually gives us the name of the angel of death, which is Abaddon.
Wow.
But let's see here. Exodus 12:23 to word it exactly. And Yahweh will pass through to smite the Egyptians, and he will see the blood on the lintel and on the two doorposts. And Yahweh will pass over the doorway. It will not allow the destroyer to come into your house to smite you. So LSB translates it as, what was that?
It's actually God doing the killing.
Kind of. It says that he will not allow the destroyer to come into your house to smite you.
And but before that, it says, and Yahweh will pass over the doorway.
Yes. Yeah. So Yahweh is passing over, and anytime that Yahweh sees the houses, sees the doorways, he won't permit the angel of death, the destroyer, to go into the house.
Oh,
So
So
God
God
is also the angel of death.
What was that?
So God is also the angel of death.
No. So God right there is with the angel of death. It says that Yahweh is going over them, and any house that God sees, he doesn't allow the angel to go inside.
Okay, so he's going down the street, passing by, going, take it, don't take it, take
exactly.
it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, no, God is not the angel of death. You see in one of these actually that we might have in here. I don't know if I have this included in here. It looks like I do in 2 Samuel 24, which will be the next one. But during the David does a census, is that the right word? Where he counts all the people, and God says, don't do that. So as a punishment for doing that, he says, like, okay, you got three choices. I can either let your enemies destroy you for 3 months, or you guys can have 3 weeks of famine, or you guys can have 3 days of plague. Choose how you want to take this punishment. And so he's thinking, I'm going to take the least bad. I'm going to take just 3 quick days because I don't want the enemies to overthrow us. Just 3 days. Just go. And so he does that. And then it says that God looks and he sees what's going on, and he tells the angel of death, like, hey, stop. Like, it's enough, type of thing. Very interesting. We'll get to that in just a second. But yeah, so God is not the angel of death, but the angel of death is the angel of the abyss. The angel of the bottomless pit. He's the angel that is responsible for, I guess, so in, you have Sheol, you have the two compartments where you have paradise, and then you have the abyss. The angel of the abyss is the angel that's like keeping every demon that's in there, keeping them captive. It's very interesting. But then at the same time, it looks as though that is not a good angel, because as he's being released, we'll go through Revelation 9 in a minute because it's super duper weird. Because it talks about like him coming out with all of these demons that are about to go and just start slaughtering people. It's just so fun, so weird, so spooky. I love it. Okay, so 1 Samuel 3, 1 through 10. Yahweh calls Samuel. Now the young boy Samuel was ministering to Yahweh before Eli, and word from Yahweh was rare in those days. Visions were infrequent. And it happened at that time as Eli was lying down in his place. Now his eyesight had begun to fade, and he could not see well. And the lamp of God had not yet gone out, and Samuel was lying down in the temple of Yahweh, where the ark of God was. And Yahweh called Samuel and he said, "Here I am." Then he ran to.
Oh no. Brief intermission.
Could hear you humming.
Okay, can you hear me now? Oh, you can hear the humming?
Hmm.
Yeah, I hum when I'm focusing. Okay, perfect. Let's see here. Then Yahweh called Yahweh called to Samuel and he said, "Here I am." Then he ran to Eli and said, "Here I am, for you called me." But he said, "I did not call. Go back, lie down." So he went and lay down. Then Yahweh called yet again Samuel. So Samuel rose and went to Eli and said, "Here I am, for you called me." But he answered, "I did not call, my son. Go back, lie down." Now Samuel did not yet know Yahweh, nor had the word of Yahweh yet been revealed to him. So Yahweh called Samuel again for the third time, and he arose and went to Eli and said, "Here I am, for you called me." Then Eli discerned that Yahweh was calling the young boy. And Eli said to Samuel, "Go lie down, and it shall be, if he calls you, that you shall say, 'Speak, Yahweh, for your slave is listening.'" So Samuel went and laid down in this place. Then Yahweh came and stood and called out at other times, "Samuel, Samuel." And Samuel said, "Speak, for your slave is listening." And Yahweh said to Samuel, "Behold, I am about to do a thing in Israel, at which both ears of everyone who hear will tingle. At which both ears of everyone who hears it will tingle." Interesting. So every time that God was calling to him, he ran to Eli, thinking Eli called him. So interesting. Because so in this, Samuel was just a kid. It says that he was a young boy. And so whenever he hears the name, he goes running out to Eli and saying, like, "I'm right here." He's like, "I didn't call you." And then does that over and over and over until finally he says, like, "If it's God talking to you, respond to God saying this, don't come here to me." So cool.
Something I find interesting, like, so many times does he go to Eli, so it must be a familiar voice. Not necessarily saying it's specifically Eli's voice, but I wonder if his voice just comes off as familiar then.
It could, or it could just be that he just literally audibly hears a voice.
Mm-hmm.
So not necessarily that it's familiar, but just that it is literally like he just hears a voice saying something and he's assuming like there's only one other person around. It's got to be him talking. So it could be a familiar voice, but I don't know. I've never speculated on what God's voice would sound like because I think it would be scary. But yeah, so that one's awesome. Next one.
Has that ever happened to you where like you think like your mom's calling you or something and then it's like, "I didn't call you." You're like, "Oh."
Not that I can remember, but maybe as a kid.
Hmm.
But my memory is horrible. So
Well, see, mom uses your whole name, so you know it's mom.
that's fair. Let's see here. Okay, so 2 Samuel 24.
My kid's full name. I'm like, come on. You said 2 Samuel 4?
24.
24. Yeah.
Specifically verses 15 to 17. So I already gave you the background on what's going on with this. But then 15 to 17. And this is one that this is claiming to be. This is one that this list I have, I didn't construct this list. This is just like the big ones, but this one is claiming that this is a theophany. I don't think it is, because this is the exact scene I just told you guys about. So this is not that happening. So starting at verse 15. So Yahweh sent a pestilence against Israel from the morning until the appointed time, and 70,000 men from Dan to Beersheba died. Then the angel sent forth his hand towards Jerusalem to destroy it. And Yahweh relented of the calamity and said to the angel who destroyed the people, "It is enough. Now relax your hand." And the angel of Yahweh was by the threshing floor of Araunah the Jebusite. Then David spoke to Yahweh. Okay, so right here where he's literally talking to God, this is the theophany part, not the angel part. Then David spoke to Yahweh and said he saw the angel who was striking down the people and said, "Behold, it is I who have sinned. It is I who have done unrighteousness. But these sheep, what have they done? Please let your hand be against me and my father's house." So that's different. So I don't think that I would count this one as being a theophany because this is not
like visible.
Yeah, this is not the angel of Yahweh. This is the destroying angel. Because depending on the translation for this one, let's go.
Before we jump, is this the same angel that destroyed those thousands of men? I mean, it was like 30,000 every 5 minutes or something. I mean, the number of people were incredible. While it was like at night. You know the story about the angel killing the whole army.
I think that's in Joshua. That one is the angel. That one is we went over that one in Joshua 5. We didn't go over the battle scene. But that one, that would be Jesus because it is the commander of the Lord's army that's doing that.
Okay.
Whereas in this is one that God is yelling at saying, "You've done enough, stop."
Okay.
So I think it's going to be different on that. And that's why this is nice and tricky and confusing and why you really got to go off of all of the context of everything to determine which ones are going to be the angel of the Lord versus which one is going to be
an angel.
Yeah, because it's interesting. Okay, so let's see here. All right, so let's see here. Compare that translation of verse 16. So CSB, then the angel extended his hand towards Jerusalem, and the Lord relented concerning the destruction and said to the angel who was destroying the people, "Enough, withdraw your hand." And the angel of the Lord was at the threshing floor of Araunah, or Arana. That's a fun word. Let's see here. But as the angel was preparing to destroy Jerusalem, the Lord relented and said to the death angel, "Stop, that is enough." So NLT refers to it as the death angel. Let's see here. ESV says to the angel who was working destruction, and the angel who was destroying the people. That one is the New King James. The Geneva says the angel that destroyed the people. NASB is the angel who destroyed the people. NIV is the angel who was afflicting the people, because NIV is soft. Yeah, very interesting. So I don't know. I would say that this one is not actually going to be a theophany because you see Yahweh commanding the angel to stop. And in every other case of it, you see the angel being Yahweh himself.
Well, I was gonna say this list or this one's not on the list that you had posted in the original group either.
Oh, this is not in that list?
No.
Oh. Then maybe I pulled it out 2 weeks ago for this very reason. My memory sucks. Like whenever I say that, I mean it. My memory is really bad.
Makes you feel any better.
Chance
I don't know if it's helpful at all. I took your entire list and I have a copy of it. So
Okay.
because I was going through it myself, seeing if I could find any more that we might have missed, kind of a thing.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so let's here. Real quick, I want to pull this up in Blue Letter Bible to see what that says about this.
I gotta download that app.
It's such a good one.
It is a good one.
Yep, so this is not referring to it as anything different. It's just referring to him being a malach. So the malach shachat, the angel that destroyed. And the angel of the Lord, Malach Yehovah. Yeah, I would say that this is probably not a theophany, just because you see Yahweh yelling at this, telling it to stop. So I would assume that this is going to be the same destroying angel that you see in Exodus 12, the same one that you'll see in Revelation 9, but not the angel that you see in Joshua, which is the commander of the Lord's army. Very interesting. So I probably took it off that list for this exact reason, where I probably went over this, went, hey, that's not one, and then got rid of it. Okay, so the next one I have on this list would be 1 Kings 19, 5 through 7.
An interesting thing with both First and Second King, the times that it uses the angel of the Lord, it is meaning as a supernatural messenger. I don't know. That's what my book says.
In what way is it saying that that's... So repeat what you said. You said that that was interesting that it refers to it as being a supernatural messenger.
Mm-hmm. So 19:7, although the angel of the Lord can at times refer to God himself, as in Exodus 3, 2 through 6, in the book of Kings, it means as a supernatural messenger, which also refers to 2 Kings 1:3 and 19:35.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't know
Okay.
how
So
it specifically gets supernatural, because like in the giant book I have, it does mean supernatural messenger as well, which I don't know how they can get all the different meanings, but that's in there too. So,
okay.
and when it does mention supernatural references or supernatural messengers, that book also refers back to Kings with it.
Interesting. Because I feel like the supernatural messengers would be quite literally that's just what we would think of as angels. But would that a supernatural messenger would also be, so the difference between an angel and the angel, they're both by technicality a supernatural malach. They're both
Right.
interesting.
Because angel,
Okay.
messenger, no?
Yes,
Or,
angel and messenger are interchangeable terms. But we, for whatever reason, we have in English changed that so that we don't have it say messenger. We try to instead say that this entire species, for lack of a better term, of non-human entities in a fourth dimension, we refer to them all as angels, not just the ones who are actually messengers.
yeah.
Yeah, super weird. But okay, so in this one, 1 Kings 19, 5 through 7, Then he lay down and slept under a broom tree, and behold, there was an angel touching him that said, "Arise, eat." Then he looked, and behold, there was at his head bread, cake baked on hot stones, and a jar of water. So he ate and drank and lay down. And the angel of Yahweh came again a second time and touched him and said, "Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for you." So he arose and ate and drank, and in the strength of that food, or went in the strength of that food 40 days and 40 nights to Horeb, the mountain of God. So that's Elijah traveling to Horeb. So I feel that one could easily be, it refers to it as being an angel, and then it refers to it as being the angel. So that one, you which one?
I don't think they know.
You don't think they know? I definitely don't. It's interesting though, because it's an angel came, and then the angel of Yahweh came again. So it's definitely the same angel that's coming twice. Let's see here.
Well, mine says, and suddenly an angel touches him, but it also references that it could be the angel.
Yeah, so the first part, it says that while he was laying there, there was an angel touching him. And then in verse 7, and the angel of Yahweh came again a second time and touched him and said. So you see the same angel coming back. One time he's referred to as an angel, the other time he's referred to as the angel. Very interesting. So this is where Blue Letter Bible going to come in again.
I think it's really nice that Jesus made him a cake. Like that's that's
You're going to be tired. You got to walk for 40 days. Eat cake.
Yeah.
That's a serious cake.
Oh, that's awesome.
I wish somebody would be like, you should eat some cake so that way you could have some energy.
Exactly. I wish
you need to eat like a salad.
Mm-hmm. I would rather eat a cake that will last me 40 days rather than me eating every single day. Let's see here. Okay, so in verse 5, an angel is just malach, nothing fancy about it. I'm assuming that the angel is going to be the same thing. That the angel of the Lord. Yep, both of those, the and an, there's no prefix for these. As far as I know, there could be.
32?
What was that?
Is it number 32?
I
guess.
Let's see here. Number 32?
Yeah.
What do you mean number 32?
For the dictionary number?
I have it as H4397.
Oh, yeah, because it's Hebrew. Don't mind me.
Okay.
I was going Greek.
Oh, okay. So the Septuagint text of this, though, that would also be interesting.
Was Elijah the one that they said had depression?
I don't think so. In this, it talks about, in this part right here, it's that he's afraid. So it's here. Now, Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done and how he had killed all the prophets with the sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah saying, "So may the gods do to me and even more if I do not make your life as the life of one of them by about this time tomorrow. So saying, I'm going to kill you. Then, and he was afraid and arose and he ran for his life and came to Beersheba, which belongs to Judah, and left his young man there. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness and came and sat down under a broom tree, and he asked for himself that he might die and said, it is enough now, O Yahweh, take my life, for I am not better than my fathers. So I don't know if he was depressed or if he was just so terrified that he was asking God to kill him.
Oh, yeah, I've heard some people say that he was depressed. I haven't read this part myself, so I didn't. I like took it with a grain of salt. Like I it doesn't really sound like he's depressed.
It sounds like he's terrified and
Yeah.
he's wanting God to kill him rather than Jezebel kill him in what I would assume would be a lot more painful way. Because, revenge killing is going to be a lot more painful. But yeah, I don't know because that all looks the same on that. So yeah, we'll mark this one off as a maybe. Next one I have is Daniel 3, 24 to 25.
I also take back what I said because I think I now found a longer one.
You found what?
Malak, so angel,
Yes.
is a very long definition. It goes into 3 columns.
Okay.
So.
And are those 3 columns referencing 3 different kinds of malach?
There are
like the basic outline on here. Say that one again.
8 different references, and each reference has multiple things to it.
Interesting.
Hold on. It's just easier to show you than to try to say it. So like 1A down to 1C, and then there's like 8E. So
okay,
a lot of different references. I know this doesn't look like much, but
I need to get that book. That'd make this so much easier. But yeah, so let's see here. In the Just Blue Letter Bible, it has it translated as a messenger representative and 3 subcategories being a messenger, an angel, or a theophanic angel. As let us see on there. Theophanic angel. Is that backwards for you guys?
No.
Okay. For me, it's backwards on my screen. It does the mirror thing.
Well, I found where it talks about supernatural messenger again. The angel is a supernatural messenger of the Lord sent with a particular message. I don't know.
Interesting.
But then now with that same one, it references Lot at Sodom.
Yep.
So,
but yeah, let's hear. So this thing says that it is translated 214 times in the King James Bible, 111 times as angel, 98 times as messenger, 4 times as ambassadors, and 1 variant. And
I wish it tell you the one variant.
What was that?
It doesn't tell you what the 1 variant is.
It does not. It just says 1 variant. I clicked on it, and it just kind of said like not available. Like it's not helpful.
Hacks.
Weird.
Mine says variant as well. I think that's what it actually is referring to. Variant.
Oh, like the actual word variant?
Yeah. But I feel
Weird.
like I tried looking it up as variant in this book, like, and it didn't have an option in there, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah, even just searching variant, it says that it doesn't occur in the whole of the King James Bible, but it just said it does.
I mean, to say anything, I have found a mistake in this book where there's a word that is used in the King James version and it's listed in like the description itself, but when you go looking for the word so you can find the description, it's not there. So I added it in.
That's kind of awesome.
If I run into it, I'll send it to you.
Deal. That's so weird though.
Yeah, because I don't think variant is in here.
Yeah, I don't see that word being used ever. It's so weird.
Not in the LSP.
Yeah. Huh. But okay. Daniel 3, verse 24 through 25. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astounded and hurriedly stood up. He answered and said to his high officials, okay, so let's back up on this a lot because this is the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego type of situation. Everybody familiar with that story? No? Okay, so Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were told by Nebuchadnezzar, hey, everyone here needs to bow down and worship this gigantic statue that I had built. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they refuse to do so, so he executes them. He has them thrown into this furnace, and whenever they are about to be thrown into the furnace, it is so incredibly hot that the men taking them into it catch on fire and die. So, like, just brutally awful. So then right here, but the three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell into the midst of the furnace of the blazing fire, still tied up. Then Nebuchadnezzar, the king, was astounded and hurriedly stood up. He answered and said to his high officials, was it not three men we cast and tied up into the midst of the fire? They answered and said to the king, certainly, O king. He answered, look, I see four men loosed and walking about in the midst of the fire without harm, and the appearance of the fourth is like a son of the gods. Awesome.
Yeah.
So I take back the earlier one. This is my favorite. What was that?
Mine says son of the god.
Yeah, so this one, that would be an interesting one to see the translational differences on. LSB has it being a son of the gods, because remembering that Nebuchadnezzar himself was a pagan.
I'm sorry, I had heard the story. I just didn't know the names by memory.
Okay.
Yeah, that one's really cool.
This
it's
one
like,
is
there are four in there.
It's so weird because, like, just I love it. Let's see here. So let me. Compare. All right, LSB, son of the gods. CSB, son of the gods. NLT, the fourth one looks like a god. ESV, son of the gods. New King James Version looks like the son of God. Geneva Bible, the fourth looks like the son of God. Let's see here. NASB looks like a son of the gods. NIV looks like the son of the gods, or a son of the gods. King James looks like the son of God. ASV looks like a son of the gods. LEB resembles the son of a god. And then the American version of the King James Version, son of God. So fascinating. So now I want to go into the Blue Letter Bible for this one and see if that actually gives it a plurality. what the actual thing would be translated as, because that's interesting where it's that different. So Bar Elah. Okay, so this shows that that word can be used as a lowercase god or an uppercase god. So it can refer to the outline biblical usage says it can refer to a god, a heathen deity, or the God of Israel. 79 times that word is used to describe God, and 16 times it is used to describe a false god. Now, used where it is describing a false god. Oh, it just opened up all of them. It did not distinguish the 16 versus the 79.
That's helpful.
Yeah, that's super duper helpful because I wanted to see which one it was under.
Well, and I guess how many other of their religions, I mean, had a son of God kind of a thing?
A lot of them, but most of them were like in the same concept of like a demigod or something like that. But most of them, like very few of them were the son of a male god. Most of them were the mother goddess and son. So like Horus is the son of Isis type of thing. And Isis is the Egyptian incarnation of Ishtar, which is like the goddess of homosexuality, which is super weird and gross and interesting. Um, but yeah, so I wish I could figure out which one this was.
What number is it? Maybe it might indicate to me in this book. Doesn't always, but worth a try.
H426. Regardless, he sees a fourth person in the midst of the fire who's rescuing them, and that fourth person somehow looks supernatural. Whether he's literally saying he looks like the son of God or like the son of a god, that's tricky.
I mean, both make sense.
They do, but I'm curious on which one is the more accurate.
Yeah. Man, they just needed to have a god for everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was the passage again?
This is Daniel 3:24. Or Daniel 3:25 is the specific one that has the son of God or son of a god. Verse 26, then Nebuchadnezzar came to the door of the furnace of blazing fire. He answered and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, come out, you servants of the Most High God, and come here. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out of the midst of the fire. Then the satraps, the prefects, the governors, and the king's high officials gathered around and saw in regard to these men that the fire had no power over their bodies or over the bodies of these men, nor was the hair of their heads singed, nor were their trousers damaged, nor had the smell of fire even come upon them. Nebuchadnezzar answered and said, Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and saved his servants who put their trust in him, violating the king's word and gave up their bodies so as to not serve and not to worship any god except their own God.
My book says that it's lowercase g.
Okay.
It says so of 426, the seventh section in the book of Daniel, however you say that word, was used both of small god, like small g God, and the one true God of heaven. But then let's see here. 7a is where it talks about it. Let's see here. The gods were, yeah, where was it? Sorry, I just had it and then I lost it. Yeah, it's small g.
Okay. Because yeah, even in verse 20, in verse 28, it gives the same thing. So in that verse, reading it straight through out of here one more time. Nebuchadnezzar answered and said, "Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and saved his servants, who put their trust in him, violated the king's word, and gave up their bodies so as not to serve and worship any other God except their own God." 3 different times, 2 as God and then 1 as lowercase God in the same verse. And all of those, according to this, are all ilah. So it's all the exact same word. However, there are variants in the actual structure of how the actual Hebrew is worded. This is getting fascinating. See, I'm not fluent in Hebrew. I don't speak Hebrew. I don't read Hebrew well enough. So,
Do you want me to send you the pictures of?
potentially. But yeah, so we have this one right down here, the uppercase God. That is the root word. That is the word used. So that word used is going to be different than, I got to turn it so I can see it. Okay, so yeah, just that one and that one. These both share the same root, but this one also has like additional words added into it opposed to just God. So I don't know if that's the reason for it or if there's actually a separation and a distinction in it. But yeah, because it says that both of those are H26.
426?
Yeah, H426, yes.
This I had found it after I said I couldn't find it anymore. It said that it referred to a particular in an idol worship of the plain of Dura.
Interesting. So then that is
and
that just for
Daniel 3:12 after that.
Daniel 3:12?
Mm-hmm.
So there are certain Jews whom you have appointed over the administration of the province of Babylon, namely Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, do not pay attention to you. They do not serve your gods and do not worship the golden image which you have set up.
Mm-hmm.
So is that the reference?
Yes. It talks about Shadrach, Meshach, all of them, and it mentions. Sorry, I get so tongue tied with that.
No, you're good.
It mentions that. I'll send a picture so that way it's easier.
Okay.
Some of these words are also just hard to say. So.
Okay. Interesting though. Okay, so then let's see here. On my little list here, I got one more at Daniel 7:13-14. We finally made it through. And then Bradley, what was the subject that you wanted to tackle next week?
Oh, yeah, I'll have to go back and look at my notes. I've had a cup of coffee since then. I do not remember.
I can go find it.
Where we headed? Daniel 7 who?
Yes, Daniel 7, and this is going to be verses 13 and 14.
Random question.
Yeah.
I haven't done any digging on it, so I don't honestly know anything behind it, but I I heard somewhere that the Holy Spirit has 7 spirits. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, that's in
Revelation.
no, I think it's in Zechariah. Um Here's 7 spirits.
What does that mean?
Let's see here.
Because I thought that would be an interesting topic if that's the case.
That would be an interesting one. Let's see here. Okay, so in Revelation 1, 4, 3, 1, 4, 5, and 5, 6, it makes reference to the spirits of God. And that concept comes from Isaiah 11:2, not Zechariah. Isaiah 11:2, which lists the 7 attributes of the Spirit. So let me pull that up. Isaiah 48, 13, 11. Let's see here. This one, Isaiah 11:2, which says, the Spirit of Yahweh will rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of Yahweh. And he will delight in the fear of Yahweh, and he will not judge by what his eyes see, nor render a decision by what his ears hear. But with righteousness he will judge the poor. So those are these 7. So it says wisdom, understanding, counsel, might, knowledge. Is that 7? Spirit of wisdom, understanding, counsel, might, knowledge, and fear. It lists 6. So let's see here. So this is saying Spirit of Yahweh, Spirit of wisdom, Spirit of understanding, Spirit of counsel, Spirit of might, Spirit of knowledge, and Spirit of fear. So that describes it as being it. It describes 7, including the initial thing, just declaring that it is the Spirit of Yahweh. Interesting. Okay. But then,
Beginning part of Revelation, isn't it?
yeah. Let's see here. So we have Revelation 1, 4. John, to the 7 churches that are in Asia, grace to you and peace from him who is and who was, who is to come, and from the 7 spirits who are before his throne. Revelation 3, 1. And to the angel of the church in Sardis write, this is what he who has the 7 spirits of God and the 7 stars say, I know your deeds, that you have a name, that you are alive, but you are dead. Revelation 4, 5. And from the throne came flashes of lightning and sounds and peals of thunder. And there were 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of God. Revelation 5, 6. And I saw in the midst of the throne and the 4 living creatures, and in the midst of the elders, a lamb standing as if slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent out to all the earth. So these are referencing the 7 here, which would be the Spirit of Yahweh, Spirit of wisdom, Spirit of understanding, counsel, might, knowledge, and fear. Fear of Yahweh specifically. Interesting. Oh, we finally got another person to turn on their camera.
Yeah, 2 people.
Oh, we got 2 more.
Well,
oh, Thias. Hi, Tim. He doesn't have his mic on. Tim is not part of the Patreon. Tim is actually my buddy who used to come to Bible studies with me all the time.
Cool.
So I told him to hop onto this, but he's just being quiet like a weirdo. And then Glockchick, I don't know what your name is. What is your name?
Amber.
Amber, hi. So we had a different Amber on earlier. Now we have new Amber to replace old Amber. Perfect.
think she's been on for most of the time there. She was just a picture though, primarily.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. Okay, let's see here.
I did find the topic that I requested. If you want to delve into that, can we have a study on the rapture, tribulation, different views, and supporting verses?
Yeah. Okay, so that is the one that you wanted to do for next week, right?
Yes, sir.
Deal. Good. I'm gonna start prepping immediately because that's going to be a long one. What are your guys' current views on that?
Well, I feel like. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was asking like in what sense? Like
do you guys believe in a rapture? Do you believe in a pre-trib rapture, post-trib rapture, any kind of rapture, no rapture? What are your views in eschatology?
I like your understanding of it that it's there's only like one rapture and it's like at the end of everything, you know? Oh, well, not one rapture, but it's like the first rapture for the Christ believers, and then the second one for the non-believers. But
So
already like
that's the resurrection, not the rapture. So the first and second resurrection, that's Revelation chapter 20. The rapture, the theory behind the rapture that John Nelson Darby created in the 1800s is that before the tribulation, before like the Antichrist is ruling in the world, that at that moment that God would remove all Christians from the earth, that they would just kind of disappear randomly. They would all just ascend into heaven, disappear, and therefore God would not allow them to go through the actual tribulation and the torment of it.
Which is very false.
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, I was trying to say that I agreed with your take. I know you did a video about it where you said that the rapture doesn't exist, like that sense. So I pretty much agreed with that one.
Okay. But yeah, so in the Bible study though, I'll try to go over the things as if I'm not biased about it. And we'll try to just go over why they believe certain things, as well as go over why they're not accurate according to the Bible, just because in order to have the rapture theory, you have to just pull the verses completely out of their context to try to get it to match. And that in and of itself is just highly problematic. It's like the flat earth people. The Bible, in order for you to try to claim that the Bible teaches a flat earth, you need to just pull everything out of context. So like where it'll say that like that the foundations of the earth. Obviously, the foundations of the earth is referencing something metaphorical, not literal foundations, because in Job it says that the earth hangs on nothing. So you have two different competing aspects of that, but some people are going to take like, oh, it has a foundation, it can't move. It's like, that's metaphorical. In context, it's metaphorical poetry. It's not actually taking that in a literal description of the shape of the earth type of thing. So the rapture is the same thing, where if you take it out of context, you can try to force it to look like a rapture. But if you read it in its context, it's just never talked about. But we'll go through all the different views on it.
My initial thought is like they're not really reading Revelation. They're just reading like where it states in Matthew where they'll be lifted up kind of a thing. But
yeah, exactly.
It's taken out of context because it's not.
Yeah, because in Matthew 24, Jesus says that two people will be in a field and one will be taken and one will be left. And they're just like, aha, see, that's it. It's like context though. It's like it's not talking about that. And then First Thessalonians 4:17, or 4:16. One of the two of those. Go, 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 go. We'll go over all this next time. But I just want to briefly touch on it now so that everybody has like a brief understanding of like, oh, this is the general idea. Why can't I find it?
Are you referring to the Christ? I'm sorry, the dead in Christ shall rise first.
Yeah.
Okay.
4:13. First Thessalonians 4:13.
Perfect. All these pages are so stuck together. I can't get to Thessalonians. There we go. Okay. Okay, so starting in verse 13 of First Thessalonians 4, but we do not want you to be uninformed, brothers, about those who are asleep, so that you will not grieve as do the rest who have no hope. For if we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so God will bring with him those who have fallen asleep in Jesus. For this we say to you by the word of the Lord, that we who are alive and remain until the coming of the Lord will not precede those who have fallen asleep. For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trumpet of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. Then we who are alive and remain will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, so that we shall always be with the Lord. Therefore, comfort one another with these words. What they do is they eliminate everything before verse 17 and just take, then we who are alive and remain will be caught up together with them in the clouds. But the entire thing that it's talking about right before that is the resurrection of the dead, which happens after the tribulation. It happens after the world is destroyed. Then God creates a new heaven and creates a new earth, and you see that resurrection happen. So it's literally talking about that, but those who are alive at the time of the resurrection happening, whenever the Bible's talking about the 144,000 anointed, those are the ones who cannot die during the tribulation. Those ones are the ones that it's referencing as those who will not die, but will be caught up. As well as you see in, I got to find the verse. Paul says that not all of us will die, but all of us will be changed. And that is going to be in reference to the same principle concept of those 144,000 who do not die during the tribulation. Does that make sense?
That's 1 Corinthians 15, 51, and 52.
Thank you, Boo Boo.
You're welcome, Boo.
Corinthians what, 15?
So like there is a rapture, but it's very exclusive to that small number.
Not in the
But
way
like
that people
after,
view it.
yeah.
Yeah, so it would be post-tribulation, and it would not necessarily be the kind of harpazo caught up rapture that people view it as. It's literally, so you have the first resurrection, the second resurrection, and whenever the first resurrection is all the saints, so they come up, and then the second resurrection is everyone else who comes up later. At that time is kind of like whenever they go, or saints like heaven, and these ones then hell type of. Very weird, very confusing. We'll go over it all next week and dive deep into that one. Exciting. But that one, that, what did you say that word, the verse was?
1 Corinthians 15, 51, and 52.
Beautiful. Behold, I tell you a mystery. We will not all sleep, but we will all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet will sound, and the dead will be raised incorruptible, and we will be changed. So, quite literally, yes, this is all talking in the respect of the resurrection happening, not before and not whenever the Antichrist comes. Because the whole concept of that is like whenever the Antichrist is here and he's trying to get you to take the mark and everything like that, why would the Bible possibly tell Christians, do not take this mark, if the Christians are not going to be there for the event to potentially have the chance to get the mark?
I mean, it also talks about that, like, the martyrs underneath the podium or altar. I don't remember what it specifically is. Like they cry out to the Lord for vengeance, but God says, "Wait," because there's more. Like not all the martyrs are here, kind of a thing. So people are still going to be dying for God's name.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so very, very interesting, very fun stuff. But yeah, we'll look into that. We'll also go over just the overall views on eschatology. So like the premillennial, the postmillennial, the amillennial, and then a couple subcategories inside of that, going into like the preterist and the futurist viewpoints on those specific things. Bueno?
What was the? I guess this can wrap it up. What would you explain the video 10-minute thing that you jumped on earlier about the different levels, black and black plus or taco plus?
Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, on the what do you call it? On TikTok, they have an option on there for, they call it a subscription. And so on that, it's basically like a Patreon inside of TikTok. But because Patreon doesn't let me upload videos that are longer than 10 minutes, so like I've done a couple exclusive videos on Patreon for subjects I can't talk about, even on things like YouTube, which is where this is going. So I can't even say the actual terms. I have to TikTok language it for auto deleting. Yeah. So I did the video on that and on another subject only for Patreon. And those ones could not work over on TikTok, but I can't do anything longer than 10 minutes on Patreon. So there's going to be the subscription thing on TikTok is going to be like 30-minute long videos, but that's only going to be viewable by people who are like paying for a subscription on TikTok. But then those same videos I'm going to post on YouTube as an unlisted link. And then that way it's not like publicly available. But then everyone who's like able to do the Bible studies, everyone who's at that level of the Patreon, I'm also going to post that link to the unlisted YouTube video so that you guys also see everything that the TikTok subscribers would see. Does that make sense?
No. So I mean, the links won't be posted in Patreon. The links will be posted in YouTube and or video and or TikTok, or
no, the link will be posted on Patreon. So
okay.
On Patreon, there's like a few different levels on there, like the
Okay.
Black Taco, and then there's a Super Black Taco. Those two will get the link that takes you to the 30-minute video or whatever the duration is going to be on whatever subject is being addressed, where it's just going to be like longer form, but only Patreon members or the TikTok subscribers will be able to see that specific thing.
I just didn't want to miss out on something. So thank you for clarifying.
Oh yeah, no, you won't be. That's why I didn't want I wanted to do the thing on there where I explain that, because I didn't want you guys to see like on TikTok or something where it says like subscription and then see little videos that say like subscribe to see this type of thing. I didn't want you guys to be like, oh, I need to pay more money or anything. It's like, no, you guys are already like supporting me. So I want you guys get all the same, you get all the presents type of thing.
How is this working for you?
In like monetary type of ways?
Yeah.
It pays for my truck's insurance.
Beautiful.
But that's about it. It's not, I make very little money with this. But even like I've been doing this for years, and whenever I made zero money, I was still doing it because I enjoy it. I don't do it for the money, but if it can help me get out of debt, I'd be very happy. That's a beautiful thing.
You also said you were putting a portion of it towards helping the very small children.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. On the all the shirts and everything, 10% of every proceed I get from that, 10% gets donated to End Abortion Now, which is the charity that is ran by Apologia Church in Phoenix, Arizona, where they're going through getting bills of abolition put in place in different cities, different states to try to not limit abortion, not to put in a heartbeat bill, but they want to get it completely and totally banned, where they want to make it equal to murder. Where if you murder a child, it is the same as you murdering a baby, or if you murder an old lady, it's all the same thing. So they call it the law of equal protection, which in the Bible, it says that partiality and unequal measures are an abomination to Yahweh. So that's quite literally, you're being impartial if you're saying that the baby's life doesn't matter. So yeah, so 10% of all the proceeds from like buying a shirt goes to that. But even with that,
I'm gonna jump in here for a second if that's all right.
yeah.
Hey everyone. Hi. Hope you
Hello.
guys are doing good. Thanks for being here and help support this guy here and the wonderful things that God has allowed him to do here. A quick thing I wanted to mention is just for the next one, I don't know if I'll be able to join. That would be incredible if I am able to. I'll definitely join if I can, just to learn and maybe even help if I can. But First Thessalonians 4:13 through 18. That will be very helpful to check out in preparation for the next one. That is just kind of going along with what we were talking about earlier. Especially like when it gets to like 17, it says, "Then we who are alive, who are left, will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air." And so we will always be with the Lord. So yeah, it's just talking about it kind of like is another good piece of detail to have. It's specifically talking about the end there. So yeah, that would be a good one to have. And yeah, much love to you all. Praise God.
Thank you, boo boo. But awesome. But yeah. Yeah. Any other questions before we call it?
Sure.
No? Perfect. Awesome. But then, yeah, so we'll plan on Friday next week, 7 p.m. My goodness, we've been at this for 3 hours tonight. The long one. But awesome. But perfect, guys. Then I will see you all next week, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on Friday.
You're not allowed to get another sickness.
I'm going to really try not to because I'm still congested from that. Like I'm still dealing with like, I don't know what it was. It was like a sinus thing that dripped into the throat and made me sound like Batman. It was gorgeous, but annoying. It was awful.
As a fellow person who lives where you live, yes, I had and am still experiencing some of whatever it is that's going around.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, the voice part is great, but every other aspect of it is not fun.
Beautiful.
Apparently, South Dakota was one of the highest for influenza, and my whole household got it. And currently, my daycare has it right now.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, and like so much so they kind of like apparently stopped testing people because it's just ridiculous.
Really?
Because how widespread it is.
Oh my gosh. Which I mean makes sense. I don't know why you need to test everybody for something whenever the treatment is the same for every other kind of coronavirus. It's like, oh, you have this? Okay, it's this. Like, oh, you have that? Oh, it's also this.
Yeah. I started wondering if I should just get like if there's like at-home tests that you can just get to save on money from going into the doctor because I have tiny children and so my daycare is always just like they're coughing bad. Do they have the flu? And I'm like, I don't know, but I don't want to spend another doctor visit.
That's fair.
So,
Well, awesome, guys. Then I will see you guys all next week, okay?
yeah.
Right. Thank you, guys. God bless.
Bye.
Bless you guys.
Uh-huh.